Speaking as Akpoti-Uduaghan, Minister of Interior, not as Minister of Finance, not as the Minister of Information. And let me say this clearly, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not good at making arguments. Why? Because I am an engineer by training, so I'm not an economist. But we'll try our best to do justice in what we think is everybody's topic. Economy, issue of the economy is something that deals with each and everybody. I'll start by saying this very clearly, that when we look at the economy, we have to imagine within the context of where we are and also the context of where we're coming from. It's always easy when you're, for instance, when President Obasanjo government, I think he left the economy in the global percent about 7% or there. But when President, that's when President Tinubu came. But when President Tinubu came, we know what the growth rate of the economy was. So if you compare an apple to an apple, you don't compare an apple to an apple. Having said that, I'd like to give us some small statistics before I fall ahead. In 2022, that was the year preceding the president's arrival. It's important for us to know that we have a budget of 17.12 trillion in year 2022. 17.12. Well, going back these days, we need to appreciate where we're coming from, to be able to appraise ourselves of maybe we are making the right progress or not. If you lose sight of where we're coming from, then you will not be in a position to know maybe we are making progress or not. In 2022, Nigeria has a budget of 17.12 trillion. Out of that 17.12 trillion, only 4.89 trillion was on capital expenditure. Only 4.89. And of course, that budget had a revenue projection of 10.12 trillion with a deficit of 50.26 trillion naira. That was the budget of 2022. In that same 2022, I'm using the 2022 because that is the year preceding the arrival of this president. As I said, I'm not trying to do the job of the Minister of Information, but as a member of the Federal Executive Council, I think I need to lend my voice to this debate. In year 2022, Nigeria spent 4.39 trillion naira. That is $10 billion of fuel subsidy. That is according to the NNPC. That same year, Nigeria spent 6.2 trillion, which is about $50 billion of forex subsidy. That same year. So what it means is that in year 2022, either via corruption or not, but officially on the records, of subsidy, either forex or fuel, Nigeria spent $25 billion on subsidy. $25 billion in year 2022. And guess what? Nigeria spent less than $10 billion on capital infrastructural expenditure. That's the year. Now, that same year of 2022, we have to understand that in the 2022 budget, 96.3% of our revenue was spent on debt services. 96. I was a member of the House of Reps. As at that time, I was chairman of the committee on the Niger Delta Development Commission. I was in the National Assembly, so I'm talking to facts. We spent 96.3% of our revenue on debt services. Meanwhile, a year earlier, in 2021, Nigeria spent 83.2% of its revenue on debt services. When you have a country over the year that spends more on debt, when you spend 96% of your revenue to service debt, what do you have for capital expenditure? As much as you're spending over 96% on debt servicing, You are also spending $25 billion on subsidy, and now spending less than $10 billion on capital expenditure. This was the scenario, this was the situation of what this particular government inherited. Of course, I will stand here and say this very clearly. I'm not making excuses, because as the president will always say, he was never voted in to provide excuses, he was voted in to offer solutions. But it's important for us to understand where we were. And as my brother spoke about, we know that the West Army was in a state of crisis as at that time. We had explosions, we had forex money to declare, we had a lot of issues on ground. Here came the administration. So when you ask the question, is the economy stable? As a lawyer, I'm not an economist, I'm saying this clearly, but as an engineer, we're trained to deal with empirical facts. As an engineer, the first thing I see is that the economy today is the accumulation of our choices over the years. That's the truth. You don't build an economy overnight. You do not build an economy overnight. While other countries were busy spending money on infrastructure to enhance production, we were busy spending money on consumption. And this is not a problem of 4 years, it's not a problem of 2 years, it's not a problem of, I would say, maybe 10, 20 years. The only time we've had that growth from my layman perspective was when industries like the telecommunication industry under Obasanjo was opened up, when a lot of other industries started coming and the economy started growing. But where are we at the moment? The key issue is, I keep saying this, when a man has tumor in the brain and has headache, the solution is not to continue to give paracetamol or Panadol. Sometimes surgery might be the option. And in going for that, this going to be difficult, but very needed solutions. And that is all I want to talk. I'll give you part of the example, and I think it's a problem. When you look at, after this session, when you have your phone, please, I just want you to confirm this fact. You will realize that the five biggest economies in the world, 4 of the 5, they are the highest spenders on R&D, research and development. That's the truth. If you look at countries all over the world, even mega firms, a law firm that cannot invest in research will not be able to make it. You can't go beyond the level of research. And that is why we look at today, a company, for instance, like Huawei in China, last year spent $26.9 billion on research and development. Guess what? They have to generated over $100 billion the next year. The same company, look at Alphabet, the company that runs Google, they spend over $36 billion on research and development. And when you look at countries in the world today, not as a matter of size, but a matter of research and development. So for me, I think this government, as much as I'm not, as I said, not here to do the job of the Minister of Information, but that was the reality of what was inherited. So we knew the gravity before the election, we asked for the job, and of course, Nigerians gave the job. Having said that, when you are in this type of pitch, what do you do? The first thing you try to do is, number one, which I call purpose first, is you must understand what you want to achieve. What exactly do you want to achieve? This is where you are. You must first of all live with the reality of where you are. Maybe over the years, for too long a time, we live as an extremely rich country. I tell people, Nigeria is not all rich in terms of per capita. That's the truth. Because when you look at how many barrels do we produce per day, maybe 2 million barrels. Divide the 2 million barrels by 200 or something million people. It gives you the average per head. Because when you look at that, you get or even smaller countries that produces lesser oil, like Ethiopia, provided you will understand that some of these countries, even though they produce lesser barrels per day, in terms of the per capita, they are actually richer than Nigeria. So in the first place, over the years, we neglected too many things that should be production enablers over the years. And that is the fact because we neglected infrastructure. As we said, economists, the basic economy tells me that migration has a lot to do. Transportation, logistics, there is no economy without logistics. And two, you look at Nigeria over there, look at the state of roads, look at the state of rail, look at electricity, even look at education. Look at this education that we are even giving to our children. In most cases, you see the type of education over the years is an education that prepares us for employment, not that prepares us for entrepreneurship or production. That's the truth. So even the type of education, modern economy of the modern educational system in other countries is the same thing that we have. So these are not issues that for me, I would say are problems over there. Now, what do we want to achieve? We decided that, okay, what we want to achieve is to increase production. What we want to achieve is to, and for you to increase production, for you to enhance productivity, there must be security. That's number one. Then two, there must be infrastructure. So we decided that. Then number two is, number two question we ask, how do we want to achieve this production? The first thing, and that's why when you look at it today, we are spending more on infrastructure than ever before. Now, for a country like Nigeria, we can see that we will, and the rate at which our population is growing, because I'll tell you my own personal fear over the year, even before I get to country, is that when you have a car, you can always tell what you pay. Not until we start becoming a net exporter, not until we start increasing factories, not until we start offering things that other countries are looking for, then we cannot say we are building our economy. The Ministry of Interior is a case study. When we came on board, we have a passport alone. We inherited debts, and I mean debts of about 28 billion naira at debt on passport. And the first question I asked myself is, are people collecting passport on credit? Because I was shocked, because you have to pay before your passport, before they even process your passport. How come it was debt of 28 billion? And that was the question. But I can tell you today that we have been able to solve that problem. We've been able to pay off that problem without asking for any intervention.